Alrighty, hey guys, welcome back. This will be my second video on YouTube. I want to thank everybody again. Thank you so much for the support on my first video. Your guys' support has been amazing. It's already at almost 200 views, which is just insane. We've already hit our goal for subscribers as well this year for YouTube and everything, and I want to just thank you again, guys, for the amazing journey so far, and everyone that's welcomed me into the AL YouTube community so far. And today, let's get going. So, what is today's topic gonna be? You guessed it, Operation Siren. Haha, JK. No, we are going to talk about a pretty much very controversial topic that I think that a lot of new players are probably wondering what it is or how it works and everything, and that is going to be PR, aka priority research. So, as a new player, I mean, honestly, you're not going to be pretty much guided towards priority research or anything like that, but here's a pretty much basic explanation of what everything's going to go on. So, you're probably wondering what the hell is PR, or aka priority research. So far, as Azur landed in the course of 3 years, we have had 3 seasons of PR so far, we've had PR1, PR2, and PR3. PR content ships are pretty much collaborations with another popular warship game, aka WoW, aka World of Warships, known by Warhammer Gaming. Each one of those ships, Warhammer Gaming will release a ship that is, I believe, a tier 10 in their game, and then Azur will collab with them and turn them into PR ships that are released into the game. So not necessarily what is a PR ship. A PR ship is a ship that wasn't necessarily designed in naval combat, but they were a paper ship. So they were a ship that was going to be designed, but it never really came truly to be a ship. And then they're built into the game. So these ships that you're aiming for are more of in-game content ships that will help you progress through later on chapters, such as 12 or 13 or 10, and then so forth on that. So let's pretty much get into the super basics of beginning. So starting for new players, pretty much you're gonna be aimed and thrown into the category starting off with PR1. Due to the fact that everything for PR requires a certain amount of timing, and everything is time gated. So you're gonna have to do like combat missions. You're gonna have to have certain ships. You're gonna have to have a certain amount of Vanguard points. You're gonna have to have a certain amount of points to even unlock these ships to begin with, and everything as well. New players priority will probably have more ships consisting of the HMS faction or either the USS faction instead of like Ironblood or IGN or anything like that. Ironblood's kind of limited since a lot of the good ships were event locked, so a lot of people would obviously see the character like Rune and want to go for Rune and everything and be, hey, I want to achieve her, but how do I achieve her? So, like, let's say for example, Rune, right? I would consider Rune and Monarch to be the 2 top priorities in PR Season 1, for them being the strongest next to St. Louis as well. Typically, you're probably going to end up going for St. Louis or Neptune first, is considering the fact that you're going to have more HMS ships and more USN ships to grind for. Now, when you start a PR ship, keep in mind that you can only start 1 PR ship at a time. You cannot go and start and do another one at the same time because you are time gated locked for 24 hours. So you want to make sure that the ship that you're farming for is going to be a ship that you want to go for and put the grind work into. Now, for example, something like Neptune, you're going to start off with, she uses HMS cruisers or Vanguards that you're going to use to farm combat XP. Combat XP can be gained from any chapter, from either hard modes or dailies, PvP, etc., as long as you're using HMS requirements, which is usually consist of CAs, CLs. It didn't used to be DDs, but now I believe you can actually use DDs and everything like that inside your fleet. You'll farm up a certain combat mission. A lot of them will be like 1 million XP, so you'll farm 1 million XP, turn in the resources for that, and then you'll begin your next mission, which will consist of granting them coins, granting them your research prints, like your cruiser blueprints that are blue or purple or orange prints that you'll turn into them, and then so forth. Then they go into another combat mission, which will be about 1.2 million XP, or 2.4, consisting of what PR ship you are farming for. After you're done farming for that, then you have your cash turn in, and then eventually you will obtain your ship after the threshold. Typically, you can get a PR ship done if you put in the grind and have the resources for it within about 1 to 2 weeks, depending on how hard you want to go and aim for your PR ship and everything from there, and then go from there. So when you get a PR ship and obtain it, you'll have a priority research ship. Congratulations, you obtained your first PR ship. Now, you have a PR ship, that's great, but a base PR ship is going to be completely worthless until you can level them up. So that's where a lot of questions come in, is how do I effectively level up my PR ship? How effectively do I get these things? What do I need to obtain to actually level up my PR ships and stuff like that? So if you can see, when you go into enhance, obviously it doesn't help you because my Neptune is Dev 30. Each enhancement level or promotion level will obtain a new skill for them, or they'll gain their main gun efficiency, AA buff, whatever they need in their stats, compared to a regular ship where, you know, if you upgraded a main ship, it would increase their salvo or increase their reload or their main gun efficiency. It's kind of the same thing for PRs. It also increases their rarity level up as well to 6 stars and everything like that as far as you go. With, you know, how we go from rare to elite to, you know, SSR, but it pretty much increases their levels, more dev levels that you get. So what exactly is a dev level? So dev level is pretty much your PR's combat level / leveling up system. Think of it as like a retrofit to the other ships in the game, like I nominated them. It's this tree that you get prints for to upgrade their stats and their abilities, to upgrade them to their highest potential that they can perform at. We'll go more into detail about how to obtain dev level and how to obtain equipment very much soon and layered on. I want to pretty much explain the differences between PR1, PR2, PR3. PR1 came out during the base model of the game. You're probably wondering, why am I giving a tutorial on PR ships that mine are completely lower than everybody else that you'll probably see. Scratch that. I've been playing hardcore for a year on this account. This is my EN main account, so I've been working harder to make a lot of my ships Dev 30. We attain most of them at Dev 30 and everything from there. PR1 is your main base, one that a lot of players will primarily focus on obtaining or completing out first, because you can get Neptune, Monarch, and Rune and St. Louis pretty easily, along with Ibuki along down the road, and then going into PR2. Main PR2 focus, I would say a lot of players would probably aim for, obviously waifu-wise, a lot of people want Freddy and they want Azuma. Other two problems now. PR2 released the very first thing that we saw in the game as DR level PR ships, which were our very first two UR ships that we could actually physically obtain in PR. So what is a DR? DR is like a priority research ship, but take twice the amount of resources to obtain. AKA, they're going to have higher combat XP that you're going to have to do, like 1.4 mil and then 2.4 mil. They're going to take a lot more combat XP to level up. They're going to take a lot more blueprints to level up because their plates are so rare. A DR ship will typically, to a new player, take you about almost a year to almost 2 years to complete, considering that their plates are very limited. You can only obtain 10 from an event, and if you're lucky, maybe you'll get some from your dailies, but maybe you'll end up getting 1 or 2 for most. Now everyone says, should I just hoard my plates until I have enough to actually officially level a ship? That's up to you. Typically when I get my plates or I'm working on PR, I'll typically just start spamming them into the PR ships anyways, just to get their levels up, because I'm a person that doesn't really care about hoarding my resources. So I would say that part is typically on how you're gonna want to play the game, honestly, and typically go from there. It's really your opinion if you want to hoard your resources until you say, I can get a certain ship to be dev level whatever to be more efficient, or just start putting your blueprints into them as soon as you get them and go from there. Now, DRs, as I said, it could be a lot longer for you to obtain. Main focus would probably be more on to your PR. So PR2, main focus, this time you have two US characters. You have Seattle and you have Georgia. Georgia is a high priority pick, honestly, in my opinion, for PR2, because Georgia is literally the best battleship for Chapter 13 with her barrage, her actual firepower in general. She's a very extremely great battleship to have, especially at Dev 30. She absolutely wrecks the enemy. Her barrage is insane. She gets great efficiency buffs with her overall performance, and she's a solid pick for your main BB in Chapter 13. Now, your other pick will probably be Seattle, because by this time you're going to have a lot more USS units to use. Seattle is one of the strongest CLs in the entire game as well. Insanely high AA gunboat output, damage, and everything like that. You have the ability to do dual CL gun output as well, which is very interesting. So you can do like a Dev gun and a Seattle gun for her output, and then get her an AA gun and then go from there as well. So she has a lot of different unique abilities that you can contribute to your team and play style of how you want to play the game, how you want to play chapters, and she's very adaptive to what you can do for you in the long run. Honestly, Kitakaze, hands down, if you need a destroyer that you want to wipe events with, or just need a destroyer in general that completely ignores armor type and has an insanely great barrage, great DPS output, everything, Kitakaze is a great start to aim for. Personally, honestly, I went for Georgia first because I just wanted another backline that I can have damage with Chapter 13, and then I went straight for Kitakaze, being that the fact that I wanted another destroyer that completely can just destroy the front line and go through everything, annihilate everything in her path, and just completely be a great overall solid performance destroyer. Gas Can, another tremendous, a beautiful battleship that you can get as well. Definitely would use her if you don't want to go for Georgia first, or you have other one ships. So it's kind of cool too. So the other factions like NMF or Vittoria Demane, stuff like that, they can actually use different ship factions to farm for their XP. So like considering like where USS is strictly you can only use equal union ships to farm for your XP. Same with IGN, you can only use Soccer Empire. Obviously KMS, you can only use Ironblood ships to farm for combat XP. Stuff like NF or different factions, you can use like Ironblood. It'll give you different factions. You can either use like Ironblood, HMS, or USS ships to grind for. So that's kind of a cool thing that they implemented, that you don't have to actually be stuck with using different types of ships for that primarily, that they're going to release certain ships that you can use multiple occurrences on. And obviously going for Freddy, going for Ozma would be your pick. Both extremely great, the strong, highly broken ships in the entire game after a complete dev level 30 balance and everything like that. Ozma is literally a battleship on your front line. Extremely tanky, great damage output, everything as well. Freddy is, well, she's Freddy. She will fuck up anything that you want to literally say bye-bye to. Honestly, everything is like, well, what technically, when does a PR ship become viable? A lot of players are going to tell you don't use a PR ship until Dev 30 because, oh, there's going to be better choices, or, oh, the other ships are going to be better for you. My typical thing is, depending on the ship, a lot of them are playable after Dev 20 plus. So like Georgia, I took into Chapter 13 at like Dev 23, and she completely shat on anything I did with full gear that I equipped her with. And then for example, like PR3 that we just released, like Odin, she doesn't even give a shit what a dev level is. She completely starts working at like Dev 15. She'll start MVPing at Dev 15 completely. Odin, hands down, in my opinion, is the best PR3 ship behind Drake. I don't consider... the reason why I say best is because typically a new player isn't going to get a DR up there in high level at the course of time, comparing to getting to another priority ratio higher in the long run, because you can get Odin at Dev 30 before you'll get a fucking Drake or a Freddy or anything else at Dev 30, unless you're a whale and you want to whale a shit ton of money into cube researches to get your Drake into Dev 30. And you'll be spending more resources and money on that than you would just be getting a normal PR ship to Dev 30. Odin at Dev 30 completely smacks anything in her path. Mines, another very fantastic CL that we obtain very strong. She's pretty much a combination of Litzing and Rune together. Extremely great tankiness, whereas CL, great damage output, rotating shields. So she's the best of both worlds and everything as well. You can see I just used my Prince to make her Dev 15. She just got her another thing for her, so she just got 451 AA, or HP, 33 AA, main gun efficiency plus 10, torp base plus 1, and then her normal touch and all that other stuff that we don't really, you know, the degenerates care about, but we don't really care about. So at the course after you get a ship to Dev 30, which is your main goal, certain seasons are going to have a thing called a Fate Sim, which is where you're going to use your extra blueprints, because you're going to have a stockpile of blueprints afterwards and be like, hey, what do I do with these blueprints that I have left over? Well, I have like 300 room prints and I don't know what to do with it. Well, for example, Rune has a thing called a Fate Simulation, which is where you're going to put more blueprints into her to increase a skill. For example, her skill that gets upgraded is her well-rounded armor skill. So it's around, well, after you're completely Fate Sim 5, it'll be round armor plus 1, which she'll deploy 4 shields, are rotating shields that block up to 8 hits. Shields last for 5 seconds, 15 seconds when fully upgraded. So you have your rotating shields lasting for literally almost 15 to 20 plus seconds, going and rotating because you upgraded your skill. They also get increased luck by every time you get a Fate Simulation, because PR ships start with no luck. So they'll tame luck after they're done farming for their Fate Simulation. Completely up to you if you want to actually make your Fate Simulation full. A lot of players will just get the Dev 30 and then stop. I would recommend at least getting Rune to Dev 30 and then getting Fate Simulation, especially right now they're actually giving us free room prints and everything like that as well, and then you can go and make your Rune more into Fate Simulation. Isabel becomes a lot better with her Fate Simulation because of everything that enhances her barrage skill and makes it a lot better, so she's a little bit more playable compared to the other ships, because she's not as great as her companions like Monarch, who can already completely shit on people with her base barrage and being Dev 30 with no Fate Simulation, versus where Uzumo really has to have her Fate Simulation to be viable, honestly, and go from there. PR2 have their Fate Simulations as well. So far, there is not an announcement for DR Fate Simulation as far as I'm aware of, because that would be fucking insane. You would have to have so many blueprints to make a DR Fate Sim. Honestly, I don't really think they need Fate Sim, because that would be just absolute brokenness, and everything from there, it would be just completely from there, like what would you do, you know, at that point? So pretty much basic understanding of PRs. I like how my game's out of date. PogChamp just released a hot patch, because, you know, Operation Siren is just so hot and everything like that as well. But the main understanding for PR is that this is going to be your priority to aim for at higher level content. Don't feel rushed at all to obtain a PR ship. Like, don't feel like you need to rush a PR ship, because there's not a physical point of trying to do so. And you'd be better in the run just to enjoy the game, enjoy it at your pace, while also farming for a PR ship of your choice while enjoying the game. So don't feel like you need to be rushed to actually physically farm PR, because it's, as I said, it's an in-game thing. Now with Operation Siren released, Operation Siren is now available for all commanders who hit level 60. You can attempt Operation Siren and then go from everything from there as well. Do all your loveliness and everything like that. We have Guild 2.0, which just got released with everything as well. All the new guild stuff where you can come in, you know, all the attributes and everything. I actually kind of like it. It looks pretty cute. I can't wait to actually physically do more with guilds and everything like that as well, and everything from there. So practically pretty much your main goal with, how I would say, with PR is do it at your own pace. You'll eventually gather prints in the course of the long run. Like, you'll just get blueprints from everything, from dailies, from commissions. You can get 30 of them from events. You can choose whatever ship you want and everything like that. My personal recommendations for PR1 is going to be Rune, Monarch, and St. Louis, then Neptune, and then Uzumo. And then, honestly, I would personally, like, in order, Ibuki's pretty high already too if you need a good CA torp So she is very good with her torps, or you want to torp mean fleet and anything like that as well. For PR2, I would do Georgia if you need a BB. Georgia's a very high priority if you want a BB and go from there. It's getting new to this new UI, is very different. And then I would go probably Seattle, Kitakaze, Gas Can, and then Freddy, Azuma. It depends on how you want to do it. As I said, everyone has their own play style and everything like that, of how you want to do everything and everything like that as well. And then how do I also obtain, set blueprints and everything? As I said, you can get them from events, you can get them from commissions, you can get them from pretty much like everything at this point, and go from there. And then after you're done completely fate simming your ships, completely farming your ships, you can use them in Protocore, where you can turn in your excessive blueprints into Protocore stuff, and you can use that to buy certain PR equipment if you're lacking in PR equipment and everything from there, and using that to help out your other ships and level them and everything like that as well. So my also personal opinion, don't if you want to use a PR ship, go ahead and use them whenever you want. Like if you like her and want to use her whenever you want. I personally say don't really use a PR ship until mid. As I said, Odin's like really the only one that doesn't give a shit what a PR level is. I wouldn't recommend using a PR until mid 20s, just to make it a little bit more viable for you, so you're not wasting time and resources and level and XP gain everything. Because as I said, Alabama at like level 120 is going to be stronger than a dev level 10, fucking Monarch or anything like that. So everything from the course of time, going from there and everything, that's how I would do it and go from there. You can, as I said, you can typically get a dev 30. All those dev 30s took me within a year, so you can get dev 30 pretty easily on the normal PR ships, just because of all the catch-ups, and then farming events, doing your best on an event, everything from there, and going on from there, and just playing the game and enjoying the game as it is. Or you can get a PR ship whenever you want. Some won't want to go for PR. I would definitely recommend going for PR, just because of the fact that it will help you in the long run. They are very good ships. Don't sleep on them, honestly. If you don't feel afraid and everything like that, just go out for it. And you're like, hey, well, what type of ships should I use for farming? Well, always good recommendations, like HMS cruisers for like Neptune. You can use like Belfast, you can use Hermane, you can use Swisher, you can use Achilles, Ajax. There's so many good choices that you can use. Don't feel afraid to obtain anything, or like, hey, how am I going to do this? Just go at it, complete it at your own pace, do everything from there. A lot of the issues is like, hey, I'm earning PR XP very slowly. How do I increase my PR gain or PR XP gain? So personally for me, I farm every single PR ship in Chapter 12. Chapter 12 is the solid spot for XP. Get to Chapter 12, that's your main goal. Your XP gain in Chapter 12 is going to be more efficient, because your Vanguard, if you MVP, can earn up to 2,000 to 3,000 plus XP, and all your other ships can earn, 1,000 plus XP and everything as well. So Chapter 12 compared to like farming in 7.2, or just farm whatever chapter you have that's the highest available to you. Don't be like rushing to Chapter 12 just to farm PR, because if your fleets are not ready for Chapter 12, you're going to get wrecked, you're going to have a bad time, you're going to waste resources, you're going to waste all that time and effort, and you're going to be pissed, and you're probably going to want to like quit for a while. Just farm the highest chapter you have available to you, and that will give you your XP over the course of time. It might be slower, obviously, than farming something like Chapter 12, but hey, you're getting XP, you're getting it from there, and everything like that. Then the main goal is, like, if you're farming a ship that's on your Vanguard, like front line, and you want to focus XP combat gain on them, nerf your back line so your front line can obtain XP, like MVP. So the more MVP you get on your front line, the more XP output gain that you're going to get, and the more level XP you're going to get, the higher the percentage is going to go for your ship itself. Versus where if your back line's super OP and your front line sucks and you're trying to farm for the XP, you're going to just have a bad time, and you're going to consistently get bad XP gain from your flagships in the back taking all your XP, versus where your front could have gained more XP if you nerfed your back line a bit. Just give your back line some crappy equipment, go from there, and just farm and be more efficient. Well, guys, this is why I just wanted to make a short, basic guide for PR. I don't want to go too in depth about which PR is better than this, why you should do this, why you should farm for that. I just wanted a basic understanding of giving you an example of what you should aim for as a new player, extending the basics of Fate Simulation, extending the basics of Dev. My next video I will release during probably next week, which will be on the Operation Siren, Guild 2.0, books, combat XP, stuff like that, how to farm efficiently, everything like that. And then eventually we have the new event coming out on December 29th, which I will be live streaming on Twitch. Come and follow me at Twitch at kisswill_pones, which will be a link in my description or in my channel. You can come find me on Twitch. I will also be doing a review guide of the ships once they get released and we have their stats onto YouTube as well for the new Iron Blood class ships that we received, and then going on from there. Anyways, guys, I wish you safe holidays. Be safe on your holidays. I wish all your family a nice Christmas and Christmas Eve, and I will see all you guys again next week. And until then, take care. Signing off. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see all you guys again next week. Toodles.